This is the Economic Club of Florida, a distinguished platform for discussion of the major national issues of the day. On today's program, Dr. Larry Robinson of Florida A&M University on the link between research innovation and economic development in Florida.
At FAMU, we also had a record year in the number of patents, and at some point those patents could likely be licensed and generate small businesses and companies, employ people, and make a huge difference in economic well-being of the state of Florida as well.
Good day and welcome to the 535th in our series of distinguished speaker programs. I'm Harvey Bennett for the Economic Club of Florida. We're privileged to have with us today Dr. Larry Robinson, president of Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, FAMU for short, or Florida A&M. It's based here in Tallahassee, Florida, with a law school in Orlando. FAMU was founded in 1887 and in the past decade has been playing an increasingly important role in Florida's economy through its focus on research. Dr. Robinson, thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you, Harvey, for having me. I look forward to talking with you and other members of the Economic Club of Florida.
FAMU is one of 101 historically black colleges and universities in the country, many founded right after the Civil War to provide a college education to our black citizens who were excluded from attending mainstream institutions due to the segregation of the time. How has FAMU's mission changed in the past 50 years since the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which opened all schools to all races?
Well, Harvey, our institutional mission has pretty much remained the same. What has changed most in the last 50 years is the world around us. We have always been open to students from all races and cultures and economic circumstances. But the world around us didn't necessarily share that same vision. But our doors have been open from day one to men and women. In fact, we have been co-ed throughout our existence, from those first 15 students to today. FAMU saw fit to open its doors to anyone who chose to attend. We've had maintained over the last 50 years, and even in our humble beginnings, focus on those kinds of things that had a direct impact on the lives of the students and the communities from which they came. We are, a land grant institution, and a lot of work done over the years and how to make one of Florida's major industries, agriculture, prosper on the behalf of the citizens. So we have a strong STEM presence, and that's gotten stronger over the last 50 years. Our focus on research and graduate education has enhanced over the last 50 years to the point now that we had one of our best years, in fact, our best year ever last year, in garnering over $60 million in extramural research funding.
Well, I want to get into that. You've been with FAMU more than 20 years, serving as its 12th president, coming up on 3 years now, following several stints as interim president. But I know you're a researcher at heart. And in the past decade, FAMU has made historic strides in the research fields, everything from eye corneas, pharmacy, marijuana applications, and just recently the school received a big grant to expand its COVID-19 testing. Tell us about that renewed focus on research.
Yeah, so one of the things that I think is important for any university is to ensure that not only are you preparing students, to address the issues of the day and learn what we learned in the past, but also prepare them for defining a new world, a better world for us through their educational experiences. And that's where the research can play a large role. I was really impressed as I looked at places where I might leave the world of Lockheed Martin 23 years ago, at the amount of focus and vision FAMU had about growing, its research ecosystem, growing its graduate level programs in research and development. Because in the world that I saw, and the world that we really have, I think the things and the people are going to make a difference, come in all shapes and sizes and all levels of degrees, But I do think having that, research experience, understanding that what we know now will not be sufficient for tomorrow's world is really an important part of an education experience. The ability to challenge what we know, push the envelope in what we think we need to have for a better society. And I think research helps to ingrain that into our students as they matriculate at the institution.
And it's also a big factor in economic development of a state like Florida, too.
It really is. If we're going to get better as a state and tend to the economic needs of the state, there has to be, an interest, invested interest in, making sure our education institutions are leading the way. And, and I believe that across the state of Florida, all of the institutions, certainly those in the state university system of Florida, are really, making new ground in research. So one part of research is helping us to understand, a current problem. Another part is to have that lead to some form of economic development. For example, at FAMU, we also had a record year in the number of patents, and at some point, those patents could likely be licensed and generate small businesses and companies, employ people, and make a huge difference in economic well-being of the state of Florida as well. But it starts with a lot of it with research and innovation and a desire to make that next leap. We used to be satisfied, in some views of science of just having our work acknowledged among our peers. But there's a much greater focus, I believe, than ever on translating what we learn in the investments in research made by the federal government and state entities into things that really contribute to the welfare and economic development of people and communities.
One of the things that makes FAMU unique is its tradition of excellence with caring, and its moniker is the College of Love and Charity. And certainly two things this world needs more of, especially right now. Tell us more about that.
And that's a very, very important, acknowledgement because we emphasize, quality, academic quality, research quality, an appreciation for how things ought to be done, doing things the right way, et cetera. And so we expect our students to be outstanding academically. But I contend, and throughout our history, we've contended that that's just not enough. So we could very well, have students graduate in 4 years, and in large numbers and large percentages. But if all they did was go out into the world, find a job, and at the end of the day, close the door on the rest of the world, I don't think, we have had the impact that we need to have as an institution. In fact, I say that the best measure of an academic institution is what its alumni do, over the course of their lives, in particular with regards to helping others. And so that's where the caring piece comes in. We want them to care about one another as students, and then they can leave us with those degrees in engineering and in biology and in criminal justice, but also remember that it took a Herculean effort to have the opportunity to go to this institution for them. Family sacrifice, the grandparents sacrifice, members of their community sacrifice. And if this is going to continue, they have to make sacrifices themselves on the behalf of others. And that's where the caring comes in. And so we understand too that, our students don't necessarily come from homes where the financial circumstances are the greatest. And so it's important for those of us who do get through, and a whole bunch have and continue to get through, that we remember that and we give back to make sure that we help those students who are struggling in the same way many of us did when we were in our college days as well. And so that's that caring piece.
Dr. Larry Robinson, it's been an honor. Thank you, sir. We look forward to hearing your formal remarks and learning more about Florida A&M University and its impact on Florida's economic development.
Well, thank you, Harvey. I look forward to that presentation as well.
Now, here's Barney Bishop, our secretary of the Economic Club of Florida and president and CEO of Barney Bishop Consulting, with our formal introduction.
Today is my distinct pleasure to introduce Dr. Larry Robinson, just the 17th president of Florida A&M University since its founding 133 years ago. Though he is soft-spoken, his opinion and advice are widely sought after by his academic peers from around the country. Dr. Robinson, a nuclear physicist, attended Lemoyne Owens College in Memphis, Tennessee, where he was born and raised, and then he transferred to Memphis State University, where he received a bachelor's degree in chemistry, summa cum laude, and later he earned a doctorate in nuclear chemistry from famed Washington University in St. Louis. Early in his academic career, he worked for 13 years as a research scientist and group leader at the prestigious Oak Ridge National Laboratory, where the Manhattan Project was undertaken in developing the first atomic bomb. His work there focused on environmental science, epidemiology, forensics, material science, and paleontology, and his expertise while there was in environmental radiochemistry, nuclear safeguards, and importantly, nuclear nonproliferation. His career has been punctuated throughout with an emphasis on both environmental science and oceanography, both of which are key to Florida's past and future. He joined the faculty at FAMU in 1995 as a visiting professor in the Environmental Sciences Institute, and he served as the Institute's director from 1997 to 2003. That same year, he was appointed as the provost and vice president for academic affairs, where I met him when I was serving on the FAMU Board of Trustees. In 2009, he became the vice president for research. The next year, he took a leave of absence to serve in a U.S. Senate confirmed position as Assistant Secretary of Commerce for Conservation and Management at the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, which you commonly know as NOAA, where he has served frequently in the past. While there, he worked fervently on coastal marine programs, including addressing the BP oil spill crisis and serving on the Gulf Coast Restoration Task Force. His board appointments and leadership positions are way too numerous to list, but he has spent his entire career looking after Mother Earth, including serving on the National Research Council's Committee on the Restoration of the Greater Everglades ecosystem, Florida's world-renowned tropical wetlands comprising 1.5 million acres that is not presently found anywhere else on Earth. Dr. Robinson's tenure at FAMU has led to the U.S. News and World Report naming FAMU last month for the second year in a row as the #1 publicly, historically Black college and university in America. Let us welcome Dr. Larry Robinson, who will speak to us today about the importance and impact of Florida A&M University and HBCUs. Dr. Robinson.
Well, thank you, Trustee Bishop. If I can still refer to you as that, I really appreciate that warm introduction. And I want to thank President Moore for allowing me to speak as well. And for those of you who don't know, the 2003 era was my first, shot at sort of a university-wide administration. And I learned a lot during that time period from none other than Barney Bishop. So I want to thank you, Trustee Bishop, for that support, as well as talking to me about sharing some of FAMU and HBCU relevance to members of the Economic Club of Florida. And this is my first time attending one of your meetings. I was at an actual in-person meeting a few years ago when my counterpart was new in town or in Florida, President Fox at the University of Florida. And so I'm really honored to be among those caliber of individuals who have the opportunity to speak with you. So this is a fairly dramatic, interesting time in our nation and in the world as we deal with the global COVID-19 pandemic as well as in our nation as we address the issues around racial and social justice. This is indeed a seminal moment in the history of Florida A&M University. It's a time when those events have caused major disruptions and challenges for our families and communities, and in some cases have sown seeds of uncertainty for individuals. However, some 133 years ago, on October the 3rd, the State Normal College for colored students began classes with 15 students and 2 instructors. Today, FAMU, as it is affectionately known, has been recognized for the second consecutive year as the highest ranked public historically black college and university, according to U.S. News and World Report's Best Colleges rankings for top public institutions for 2 years in a row. We actually moved up to number 117 among top public universities from 2020, where we were at number 123 in the nation. And as you've all heard as well, the FAMU FSU College of Engineering earned a spot on the U.S. News and World Report's badge eligible list, ranking 69th among 206 best undergraduate schools of engineering offering doctoral degrees. The Joint Engineering School is ranked second in the state of Florida, and is a new model for other institutions around the country, perhaps the world, to follow. And it has firmly established itself as a national leader in higher education. It's amazing that just a few years ago, we were arguing about how that school might progress in the current arrangement. It just tells you how, if we focus on working together, some really phenomenal things can occur. But all these rankings, to me, only confirm one thing, and that is the importance of the work that we do at this institution on the behalf of our students and their well-being. So whereas these rankings are important, I also want to remind you, too, that they don't tell the whole story of educational institutions. I really think that the whole story of institutions are the best indicator of where universities rank is what their alumni go out into the world and do upon their graduation from the institution. And we have a lot of great stories to talk about with that in mind. But with regard to today's theme, the importance and impact of Florida A&M University and HBCUs, I just want you to know that we're moving forward with our ability as an institution to operate in this new normal defined by COVID-19 and the social unrest that we experience in the nation. And if anything, COVID-19 has accelerated our movement towards a future involving more technology in higher education, and has clarified in my mind the need to have a society in which those discontinuities and disparities that have long existed in access to technology and education and training, and the use and employment of individuals who are graduating from our institutions are eliminated. Perhaps this particular ranking tells a large part of the story. The U.S. News and World Reports ranked FAMU 20th in the nation with regards to social mobility. And to me, this is a true measure of the institution's impact on otherwise bright students who come to us with significant economic challenges, but leave us with the prospects of gainful employment and/or being well prepared to pursue post-baccalaureate graduate and professional educational opportunities. That's really, I think, the true measure of the impact that we have on students who come. We change their socioeconomic status in one period at this institution. Like educational institutions across the nation and perhaps the world, at FAMU, we had to make a fairly amazing transformation from a once predominant mode of in-person educational delivery to 100% remote instruction in less than 2 weeks during the spring semester. This was crucial to the success of our students, but also crucial to the success of the university. Although we had in our existing strategic plan, FAMU Rising, a goal to reach about 25% of our student FTE delivered online, the pandemic has accelerated this outcome. The current strategic plan sunsets in 2022. However, you might say that for us, the future is now. In fact, prior to COVID-19, we had increased our online class offerings by 40% between 2018 and 2019. But we had not predicted, and no one could have told us that in 2020, in the fall of 2020, we would be offering over 80% or closer to 85% of our courses in this new virtual environment. This wasn't easy. To accommodate this transformation, we had to address significant technology needs of our students and our faculty. We had to purchase hundreds of computers, provide cameras and hotspot devices to allow students online access and to train hundreds of faculty in this new modality of delivery. Yes, it is likely that when we get our arms around this pandemic, we will embrace a new online presence. We will have to in order to reach a new threshold and remain competitive. It's very unlikely that we'll be able to go back entirely to the old model of instruction entirely. Speaking of the pandemic, since April the 25th, as some of you know, Bragg Memorial Stadium on our campus has been the site of one of our region's largest free COVID-19 testing site. To date, over 66,000 persons have been tested at this community-based site. Those individuals came from all over the region, the south side of Tallahassee, the north side of Tallahassee. We have people who've come from Georgia and Alabama. Our faculty and our staff have provided tremendous leadership to the site in partnership with the Bond Community Health Clinic, the Florida Department of Emergency Management, and the Florida Department of Health, and so many local agencies and individuals who volunteered each and every day to make this possible. Additionally, regarding COVID-19 testing, we recently received $1.5 million from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to operate or to help develop our own COVID-19 testing laboratory, which will serve as a hub for other historically Black colleges and universities in Florida. This is part of a project conceived by Thermo Fisher, one of the leaders in this type of testing and technology, called the JUST project that we've been in conversations with since early this summer. In this model, FAMU will serve as one of about 10 hubs that will provide testing of our own faculty, staff, and students, as well as those in specified numbers for select historically Black colleges and universities. And for FAMU, our institutions that we will serve in this new model will be the 3 private HBCUs in the state of Florida. As of October the 12th, a private firm, Curative Inc., has been selected by the Florida Division of Emergency Management to conduct the on-site COVID-19 testing site. Curative has launched the deployment of free rapid COVID-19 antigen testing for the FAMU and the Tallahassee community. And you can get results back from those tests as early as 15 minutes. We just kicked off in partnership with our College of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences, along with the Institute of Public Health, a major influencer campaign. We're encouraging you and anyone else to take advantage of getting the flu shots while they're available, so you at least prepare for what we know we can handle with regard to current diseases associated with the flu. And such that you won't get sort of a double whammy in the event that you contract the COVID-19 virus as well. Recently, moving on from COVID-19, just to start talking about some of the major sort of economic drivers and activities on our campus, I just want to to talk about a recent ribbon-cutting ceremony that we had for our newly opened 700-bed FAMU Towers Residence Hall. This is a really important development for Florida A&M University and really this region. We believe these were monies provided by the U.S. Department of Education's HBCU Capital Financing Program that allowed us to secure funds at a much lower rate than any public market availability at the time, and it also allowed us to refinance all of our housing debt such that we were able to now use some of the savings from that to not only invest in the 700-bed dormitory, but to address renovation and upkeep at our existing residence halls as well. We also partner a lot with outside entities that impact economic development. For example, the FAMU FSU College of Engineering faculty members are part of a new Florida International-led consortium of universities, public and private, who received a $5 million grant from the Department of Energy to help fill the need for more diversity in the STEM workplace. And Dr. Shanda Bernardin, an associate professor in computer electrical engineering at the college, is the principal investigator on this grant. Through Florida A&M University, about $1.5 million was awarded to the engineering school as part of this overall project. But one of the things that's critical to us, and this is clearly stated in our new strategic plan, and that is building relationships, stronger relationship with the private sector. And we've done a number of those in the last year or so, and I just run through a list of those. Some of these you may have read about already. I just mentioned the $1.5 billion from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, from Thermo Fisher and its JUST project. The amount of equipment and tests that they were supplying equates to about $1.5 million as well. Bank of America has a new $1 million jobs initiative partnership that we're working with them on to help students of color successfully complete their education and training necessary to enter their workforce, embark on a path to success in Tallahassee. Truist Bank, formerly SunTrust, a student success initiative where they have provided over $100,000 in scholarships to reduce student debt and to allow for our students to seek industry certifications and in order to increase students' employability. Southern Glacier Wine and Spirits, has created an endowed scholarship is entitled Against Social Injustice, Racial Inequality, and that will allow students in the humanities to pursue scholarship opportunities in that arena. I want to thank the Blueprint in a governmental agency for approving the recent $10 million investment in Bragg Memorial Stadium's Renaissance project. This is a treasure and a community resource. As I said earlier, it has been home to the COVID-19 testing site since April 25th of this year. But also this investment will lead to future economic benefit for the city of Tallahassee and Leon County as we prepare for future football and other activities that occur in and around that stadium. Some other initiatives that I think are fairly novel that some of you may have heard about, I just want to mention this afternoon as well. And one is the Medical Marijuana Education and Research Initiative and the HEMP project that we have. We continue to build community engagement by promoting conversations about medical marijuana and the multicultural communities, in particular among minorities in Florida. The Medical Marijuana Education and Research Initiative seeks to continue to build new relationships and partnerships and collaborations with leaders, community groups, faith-based organizations, and educational institutions and others reach Florida's very diverse population. Because of the pandemic, MARY, the Medical Marijuana Education Research Initiative, has gone virtual. However, it's still working to get the message out about the beneficial uses of medical marijuana and the not so beneficial uses for marijuana otherwise. The FAMU Hemp Project has developed contracts with two private companies, Sunshine Hemp and Green Earth Cannaceuticals. It is selling hemp seeds and cultivars in the state of Florida through these two companies. Sunshine Hemp has 5 seed varieties, and Green Earth has 1 seed variety, which have been approved by Florida A&M University. Sunshine Hemp has 6 planting permits, and Green Earth has 25 planting permits. We have identified 31 planting locations, therefore, across the state of Florida. And then finally, the FAMU Hemp Project is in negotiation with another company to establish a clinical cannabis research center in association with the Florida A&M University College of Pharmacy. Some of you may have heard about our partnership with Duke Energy and our Brooksville site, where we have signed a 25-year ground lease with Duke Energy to design, build, and operate a 74.9 megawatt solar farm on property owned by the university. Duke Energy is currently involved in the due diligence process of the agreement, focusing on the interconnection point in the local community and giving every bit of scrutiny to how they get this power out to the local community. The initial agreement is for 25 years and has 2 5-year options that could be exercised at the conclusion of the agreement. Over the 25 years of the project, we will average at the university about $1 million a year. The 74.9 megawatts of solar power will provide electric power to about approximately 25 homes on the grid in Florida. So as these are just a few examples, I just want you to know that these have been going on throughout our history. Another part of our history that we're really proud of is that our students and have been leaders in peaceful protests across the nation. In the past 64 years, when our students protested peacefully during the Tallahassee boycotts, for example, they were pretty much alone. Things appear to have changed, however, in 2020. Today, our students march alongside students from Tallahassee Community College, Florida State University students, citizens from the South Side, citizens from the suburbs. It was and continues to be an amazing display of unity and diversity. That's one of the major changes that has occurred since the late early 1960 protests that took place around the country. There's coming together people around a common purpose that is mutually beneficial to the community as a whole. The FAMU stands ready and willing to help, to continue to help in the fight for social justice, and is committed to creating new opportunities for our students and our communities. And so then what is the ultimate impact of Florida A&M University and our fellow historically Black colleges and universities around the country? According to a U.S. United Negro College Fund report entitled HBCUs Punching Above Their Weight, 27% of African American graduates with STEM degrees come from historically Black colleges and universities. Historically Black colleges and universities graduated 46% of Black women who earned degrees in STEM disciplines between 1995 and 2004. 8 historically Black colleges and universities, including FAMU, were among the top 20 institutions to award the most science and engineering baccalaureate degrees to Black graduates between 2008 and 2012. And HBCUs are the institute of origin for almost 30% of Black graduates of science and engineering doctorate degrees. That means roughly 1 out of every 3 African Americans you see walking around with a PhD in science or engineering came through somebody's historically Black college or university, or as they might do at FAMU, received their degrees at one of these institutions. And so although HBCUs were originally founded to educate Black students, we never developed policies to exclude other races or ethnicities from attending our institutions. We enroll students of all races when the time allowed it. According to the National Center for Education Statistics in 2017, non-Black students made up 24% of enrollment at HBCUs, compared with 15% in 1976. Just over a year ago, on August 5th, 2019, I joined the presidents from Bethune-Cookman University, Edward Waters College, and Florida Memorial University on our campus to examine the challenges faced by Florida's HBCUs and to identify solutions. It was an opportunity for a celebration of our institution's great past and successes, but it was also an opportunity to acknowledge that these institutions are largely responsible for building the middle class in Florida and our counterparts around the region and in the nation. The common thread of these institutions is their evolution over more than 100 years to help build this Black middle class. This work continues, and the focus has expanded to providing access to all strata of our society. But despite this shared vital mission of HBCUs in Florida and around the nation, this is indeed a critical time for historically Black colleges and universities, and there are brewing debates around the nation in both academic and political spheres about our relevance and our sustainability. So while these institutions are obviously relevant, as proven by their successes, clearer plans for sustainability are crucial for our future. These plans must and should reflect the historical impact of HBCUs in Florida, for example, but also addressing opportunities to serve our state and our nation in the future. For example, historically Black colleges and universities award 22% of all baccalaureate degrees earned by African Americans, despite only representing 3 to 4% of institutions of higher education. 1 out of 5 African American baccalaureate degrees are awarded by 3 to 4% of the institutions in this nation. At FAMU, in fact, about 41% of our baccalaureate degrees and 51% of our graduate degrees are actually conferred in areas of STEM and health, based upon data for the 2018-2019 academic year. In the storied areas, not only are we providing world-class educational experiences for our students, we're providing them in areas of high demand and high need. And so today, I believe that by partnering with organizations like the Economic Club of Florida to help eliminate disparities on the other side of the tracks, we will continue to be successful. We have built the Black middle class, generating 135,000 jobs and nearly $15 billion in total economic impact for our local and regional economies. This is why your support is absolutely necessary as we provide the tools for a better way of life for our students in our community. Let me just bring this to a close by saying that these are just a few examples of the contributions that FAMU and our sister institutions are making, despite the historical challenges that we've had and current challenges of being under-resourced. The impacts of these institutions in every area of our society is really incredible. We have been on the scene and we're making so much happen at these institutions. It's just incredible as well. And your support and leadership in providing advocacy on the behalf of HBCUs will allow FAMU and these institutions to continue to doing the great work that we've done for the next 150 years. So I want to thank you again for the opportunity to speak to you today, and I look forward to working with you to continue building on our collective progress. The future is bright, and as I like to say, great things happen every day at Florida A&M University. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson. I've got several questions that I'd like to submit to you. The first one comes from past chair Marjorie Turnbull. Recently, FAMU created the Office of Undergraduate Research. Tell us about this and why it is important for undergrads to have this experience.
Right. So one of the things that, when I go back to our strategic plan, we have 6 priorities in that plan. And the first is really, all about students, the education experience that they have, being world class. And data shows that in any discipline, right, some sort of out of classroom application of the knowledge that they learn in the classroom is beneficial to the student's success, not only while they are an undergraduate student, but also as they plan to go on to work, as well as post-baccalaureate opportunities. Many institutions, if they're looking at 2 students, if you're going to graduate research entity and they're looking at 2 students, everything the same, GPA and standardized test scores and all those kinds of things, great recommendations. And one student has had a bona fide, research or critical thinking experience, and the other one doesn't. You're going to get the student who has had that research experience. And so what I've argued over the years at Florida A&M University, because there's some tension, because some believe that, sort of graduate and research is a distraction from the progression of students at the undergraduate level. Actually, it is not. The data shows that it's very, very helpful. It keeps the student engaged. They get to see how, what they're learning in the classroom is applied in the real world. It makes them more marketable, whatever they chose to do next, whether it's going to work or going on to graduate education. I want to commend our provost, Maurice Eddington, for establishing that center on our campus and making it available to our students.
Thank you. The next question is from our current chair, Cindy O'Connell, who has a minor in journalism from FAMU. How will the recent announcement by the Trump administration of historic funding be allocated?
Well, I'm not really sure what funding she's referring to, but I can tell you that the monies that we have received through the CARES Act funding has been woven into, the budgeting process at the university. So there were 2 major troughs of money. One was where, was directed to students, and we developed, with our board, sort of a need-based component to that. We got those monies out to our students rapidly. And then there have been monies to allow us to address, budget shortfalls or gaps in revenue as a result of going virtual, students not staying in dorms. And that we've done in a very public way. And then, of course, another set of funds we're using now to allow us to navigate these very, very difficult times with regards to the measures that we've had to put in place to address a new mode of operations. For example, we decided to, although we had a brand new dorm, 700 rooms, we were all excited about it, but COVID changed our minds about in terms of how we would operate. And so we decided to go with a single room occupancy for all of our residence halls. And of course, you can see off the top the amount of revenue losses that incurred. But at the same time, we thought it was in the best interest of our safety of our students to do so. And so the CARES Act monies allow us, because we still have to pay the people who work in our housing units and so forth, have to pay for disinfecting and all the other things that we've done in our housing and around the campus. And those CARES Act funds are really, really helpful in doing so. But I do want everybody to know too, whereas we really, really appreciate everybody in Washington, D.C. who played a role in making that happen. Those funds alone are not sufficient, to keep us whole.
And a question from one of our members: do you still seek national merit scholars to attend FAMU?
Yes, we do. In fact, I reached out to them personally. We had a session with a group of them. I guess it was last month. So it's really something that we do. We've used board members who have hosted them in their homes, around Florida and in Georgia and other places. And so you really have to, the recruitment alone won't necessarily get them because they're highly competitive. Everybody is going after those students. But yes, we are actively recruiting those kinds of students. And I will say this, just to as a sidebar, we're monitoring our enrollment, admissions data, pretty much on a weekly basis. Just today, our leadership team meeting, we're about 18% ahead of where we were this time a year ago for fall 2021 compared to fall of 2020. The average GPA at that time for students applying was around 3.7. Currently, the average high school GPA is 3.97. So really high quality students are seeking to enroll at Florida A&M University. They don't all have to be, merit scholars, but there are some fairly stiff requirements that the state university system has on admissions. But we're going deliberately after high quality students who can survive the rigor of the academic programs that we have and do so in a timely manner.
Another question is, what percentage of FAMU students are the first in their family to attend college?
It's about 33%. About 1 out of every third student you meet on this campus is first generation, like me. And so what we've done to accommodate those students is, we've increased the number of advisors, counselors, peer mentors, et cetera, to help them feel like they're just as important part of the family as anyone else. There's nobody who they can call at home who, was a chemistry major, for example, or a journalism major to ask, okay, what do I do when I get into this situation? And so we invest in those students' well-being, and more or less being surrogate parents for them during their educational journey at FAMU. They're otherwise bright students, but they just don't have that sort of background that they can call upon from their homes in a way, and we try to provide that here at the university.
What percentage of your graduates find jobs locally or in the state of Florida?
I wish I knew that number. I know in some programs like pharmacy, that's really high, and nursing that's really high, but I don't know the overall number, to be quite honest with you. I may have to get back with you on that one, but it's pretty high. But I don't think, when it comes to local employment of our students and anyone else's student, that has been a challenge, right? We've seen that over the years, and I think one of the problems is that if you look at the competitive salaries that, for example, Silicon Valley pays for students in computer science and so forth, although we know that the cost of living expenses are much higher, the students don't necessarily take that in consideration, and they might head that way for a variety, or for that primary reason. But we're trying to get them in our career coaching and counseling to look more holistically at where they want to work or where they go to work. It does matter how much they make, but it also matters the quality of their lives as well. And sometimes, there's some wonderful places to stay here in Florida and right here in this region in particular.
Last question, President Robinson, is which other HBCUs do you perceive as your main competitor for students?
So let me go and clarify something. First, Trustee Bishop, I hope I don't live to see the 17th president of FAMU. I'm the 12th, but I'm pretty sure that we'll get to 17 one of these days. But I'm proud to be number 12. But let me tell you, so the U.S. News and World Report's rankings, they slice and dice them a number of ways. So they have a national public rankings, right? And on that scale, we're the highest ranked public HBCU in the nation, right? And then on the HBCU rankings, we're ranked number 6, and everyone ahead of us is a private, right? But we're tied actually with North Carolina A&T University in that 6th position. We actually caught them right this year. And if I had to say, when you look holistically across everything that we offer, that there are 2 major ones that I think we compete with. A&T is one in terms of public. There's little no doubt there. But then I think Howard University is another. But I don't think, if you only think in terms of competition for good students with HBCUs, you're really missing the point. The competition for good students of color or anything else is fierce. Institutions of all types, right? Historically Black colleges, historically white institutions, private institutions, public institutions. You have to know that going in, right? Because of that competition. But in terms of HBCUs, I would say is those 2 institutions, Howard and North Carolina A&T. But students, good students, are in high demand everywhere. And you really have to focus. You have to keep your mind on that as you go out and recruit. You just can't talk about what other HBCUs offer or don't offer. You have to talk about what you offer that's unique to institutions anywhere.
Well, President Robinson, on behalf of our board of directors and our membership, I'd like to thank you for taking time today to present a very informative and insightful presentation about FAMU. I, as a local and native Tallahassean, am glad to see you at the helm. You have provided a lot of stability to the university and are making a lot of progress. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Dr. Larry Robinson, president of Florida A&M University, speaking before the Economic Club of Florida on October 27, 2020 in Tallahassee, Florida. For more information on the university and its programs, visit famu.edu. The Economic Club of Florida promotes interest and enlightenment on important economic, political, and social issues of the day. To learn more, including how to become a member, visit our website at economic-club.com.